He spoke one speech and he was assassinated. He tried to flee. He was caught, dragged, tortured, and his body was dissolved in acid to erase all evidence. A speech that challenged Western power and revealed uncomfortable truth about the Congo. His name was Patrice Lumumba of the Congo. Patrice Lumumba was born on July 2, 1925 in a small village in the Belgian Congo. The Belgian Congo was not a free country. It was controlled by Belgium, a country in Europe. The Belgians ruled Congo with an iron fist. They took Congo's resources. They treated the Congolese people very badly. Lumumba's family was poor. His parents were farmers. They belonged to a small ethnic group called the Tetela. Life was hard for them, but young Patrice was smart. He loved to read and learn. He went to missionary schools, which was rare for Congolese children at that time. After finishing school, Lumumba worked as a postal clerk. This was actually a good job for Congolese person under Belgian rule. Most Congolese people could only do hard manual labor, but Lumumba wanted more. He read books about politics and freedom. He learned about other African leaders who were fighting for independence. Lumumba also worked as a beer salesman. During this time, he traveled around the country. He met many different people. He saw how the Belgians treated his people everywhere he went. He saw the suffering. He saw the injustice, and he decided he had to do something about it. In the 1950s, Lumumba started writing. He wrote articles about the problems in Congo. He wrote about how the Congolese people deserve freedom and dignity. His words were powerful. People started paying attention. In 1958, Lumumba did something very important. He founded a political party. It was called the Congolese National Movement, or MNC for short. This party was different from other political groups in Congo. You see, most Congolese politicians only cared about their own ethnic group or their region. Congo has many different ethnic groups. These groups often didn't trust each other. The Belgians had made this worse by dividing people and making them compete against each other. He believed all Congolese people should unite as one nation. He didn't care if you were Tetela, Luba, Congo, or any other group. To him, you were Congolese first. This message was powerful. It gave people hope. Lumumba was also an amazing speaker. When he spoke, people listened. He had passion. He had fire in his words. He talked about freedom, dignity, and justice.
Nous poursuivons trois objectifs bien précis. Le premier objectif, c'est grouper tous les Congolais sans distinction de tribus, de race, de classe ou de religion en vue de réaliser l'unité nationale du pays. Deuxième objectif, c'est initier les Congolais à la vie politique. Et le troisième objectif, c'est réaliser l'indépendance du Congo et constituer un État démocratique moderne assurant à tous les citoyens le bien-être, la paix sociale et la liberté.
He talked about building a new Congo where everyone would be equal. The Belgian authorities didn't like Lumumba. They saw him as dangerous. In 1959, they arrested him and put him in prison. They charged him with starting riots, but this only made Lumumba more popular. People saw him as a hero fighting against oppression. By late 1959, Belgium realized they couldn't hold on to Congo much longer. Independence movements were spreading across Africa. Belgium agreed to give Congo independence. They scheduled election. Even though Lumumba was in prison, his party won the most seats in the election. The people had spoken. They wanted Lumumba to lead them. Belgium had no choice but to release him from prison. In June 1960, as Congo prepared for independence, Lumumba became the first prime minister of the newly independent nation. June 30th, 1960, this was the day Congo became independent. It should have been a day of pure celebration. Ceremonies were held in the capital city, Kinshasa, which was called Leopoldville back then. King of Belgium, King Baudouin, came to the ceremony. He was young, only 23 years old. He gave a speech. In his speech, he praised Belgian colonization. He talked about how Belgium had brought civilization to Congo. He made it sound like the Belgians had done Congo a favor. This made Lumumba angry, very angry. He had not planned to give a speech that day, but when he heard the king's words, he couldn't stay silent. He stood up and walked to the podium. What happened next shocked everyone, especially the Belgians. Lumumba gave a speech that nobody expected. He didn't thank Belgium. He didn't praise colonization. Instead, he told the truth. He talked about the suffering of Congolese people. He talked about the forced labor, the beatings, the killings. He reminded everyone that independence was not a gift from Belgium. It was earned through the struggle and sacrifice of the Congolese people. He spoke with passion and anger. He spoke the words that millions of Congolese people had wanted to say for decades but couldn't. The Belgians in the audience were shocked. Some were outraged, but the Congolese people loved it. Finally, someone had spoken the truth to the colonizers. This speech made Lumumba famous across Africa and the world. Many Africans saw him as a hero, but it also made him enemies, powerful enemies. Lumumba's time as prime minister was very difficult. Congo was not ready for independence. Belgium had ruled for decades, but they had done almost nothing to prepare Congo for self-government. There were hardly any Congolese people with university education. There were no Congolese army officers. There were no Congolese administrators with experience running a country. Belgium had kept all the important positions for themselves. Just after independence, the Congolese army mutinied. The soldiers were angry because all their officers were still Belgian. They rebelled. Violence broke out. Belgian citizens living in Congo fled in panic. Then things got worse. A region called Katanga declared independence from Congo. Katanga was the richest part of Congo. It had copper, diamonds, and other valuable minerals. The leader of Katanga was a man named Moise Sombi. Belgian mining companies supported him because they had wanted to keep control of Katanga's resources. Lumumba forced an impossible situation. His country was falling apart. He asked for help from the United Nations. UN peacekeepers came to Congo, but they wouldn't help fight the Katanga secession. They said that was internal matter. Frustrated, Lumumba looked for help somewhere else. He turned to the Soviet Union. This was a big mistake in the eyes of the West. You have to remember, this was 1960, during the Cold War. The United States and the Soviet Union were enemies. The Americans were terrified of communism spreading in Africa. Lumumba wasn't really a communist, he just wanted help to keep his country together. But the United States didn't see it that way. They saw him as a threat. The CIA started plotting against him. Belgium also wanted Lumumba gone. The Belgians were angry about his independence speech. They were angry that he wouldn't protect their business interest. They worked with Congolese politicians who opposed Lumumba. In September 1960, just 3 months after independence, there was a coup led by a man named Joseph Mobutu. Mobutu had been helped by the CIA and the Belgians. Lumumba was removed from power. He was placed under house arrest. UN peacekeepers guarded his house, supposedly to protect him, but really they were keeping him prisoner. For weeks, Lumumba stayed in that house. He tried to escape once but was caught. He knew his enemies wanted him dead. He wrote letters to his wife. He wrote about his love for Congo. He wrote about his hope for the future, even though he knew his own future was dark. In December 1960, Lumumba tried to escape again. This time, he made it out of the capital. He tried to reach Stanleyville, a city where his supporters were strong, but he was captured. Congolese soldiers working with Belgian advisors arrested him. What happened next is one of the darkest moments in African history. Lumumba was beaten and tortured. He was flown to Katanga, the region that had broken away from Congo. He was taken there because the leader of Katanga, Zombi, hated him. On January 17, 1961, Patrice Lumumba was executed. He was shot along with 2 of his colleagues. Belgian officers were present. Some sources say they participated in the killing. After the murder, the killers tried to hide what they had done. They dissolved Lumumba's body in acid. They wanted to destroy all evidence. Lumumba was only 35 years old. He had been prime minister for only about 10 weeks. His dream of a united, free Congo died with him. For a while, the Congolese government and Belgium lied. They said Lumumba had escaped and been killed by villagers, but the truth eventually came out. Documents were discovered, witnesses spoke. The world learned that Lumumba had been murdered in a plot involving the Congolese government, Belgium, and with knowledge from the United States. After Lumumba's death, Congo descended into years of chaos and dictatorship. Joseph Mobutu eventually became president and ruled as a dictator for 32 years. He was corrupt and brutal. He renamed the country Zaire and stole billions of dollars while his people suffered. Many people believe that if Lumumba had lived, Congo's history might have been different. Maybe Congo could have avoided decades of dictatorship and civil war. Today, Patrice Lumumba is remembered as a hero across Africa. He symbolizes the fight for true independence, not just independence in name only. He represents the struggle against colonialism and foreign interference. Many African leaders and activists have been inspired by Lumumba's courage and vision. His Independence Day speech is still quoted and studied. Streets and universities across Africa are named after him. In 2002, Belgium officially apologized for its role in Lumumba's death. The Belgian government admitted it had moral responsibilities for what happened. This was an important moment, though it came more than 40 years too late. In 2022, something remarkable happened. Belgium returned a tooth to Lumumba's family. After Lumumba's body was dissolved in acid, one Belgian police officer had kept the tooth as a trophy. It was the only physical remain of Patrice Lumumba that survived. After years of pressure, Belgium finally returned it to his family. It was given a state burial in Congo. Even in 2025, Lumumba's case continues to matter. Belgium courts are considering prosecuting people involved in his killing. His family continues to seek full justice and truth about what happened. Patrice Lumumba's life was short, but his impact was enormous. He stood up for his people when it was dangerous to do so. He spoke truth to power. He dreamed of an Africa that was truly free and united. His story teaches us important lessons. It shows us how powerful countries interfere in weaker nations to protect their interests. It shows us that the fight for real freedom is never easy. But most of all, Lumumba's story shows us the power of courage. One man from a poor family in a small village stood up to empires. He didn't live to see his dream come true, but his words and his example continue to inspire people around the world. Patrice Lumumba once said that history will one day have its say. That day has come, and history remembers him as a hero, a martyr, and a symbol of African struggle for dignity and freedom. If you want to see more incredible ancestral histories of African kings and queens stories filled with drama, action, legacy, and power, be sure to subscribe so you don't miss a single episode. Who knows, even your king might be featured next. Stay tuned and don't forget to subscribe for more epic historical stories.